Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is May 5th and the market just reached new all-time highs. So I'm gonna walk through some of the plays that I did today. I was able to capture, some good profit, but I just want to give you guys an update and we're gonna jump right into it. So one that I was watching, and this is a ticker I can't lie that I have not paid the most attention to, but just to kind of build it out and how I would, I believe I did a video like this a while ago, but just as a refresher, if I have a fresh new symbol that's of interest, how I would go about making my levels and all those things. Um, so I'm just going to clear this. And so first things first, I always start with the monthly. So as you see, you got all-time highs here. Got a sell side here, or swing low. I like to designate what time frame it is, just in case I'm, on a lower time frame. I like to know what this is anchored to. So, just for example, see on the weekly, you have this swing low, but now I know that on a higher time frame, it's an even bigger um, point of reference. So we'll just do that. Honestly, don't need to put this one down here. Don't really see it coming back down here. 94. Yeah, 56. It's at 280. That's a sizable drop. And then I'm just going to mark any gaps. So we have one right here. One month. Then we had, this got two, close 233, 46. Nope. So two gaps. That's the monthly. Looking at the weekly, gonna focus on what's in the vicinity. So mark this one off. I'll just update what it is. Weekly. Things safe to say based on how this week is going. This will be a swing low, right? Regardless, unless this massive turnover to really not have this be a swing low. But I'm confident in leaving that as a swing low for now. We got a gap here. What's this? 366. On the week. Is that just for fun, I'll just mark that one and that one. And now, when you come down to daily, is there anything you really need to mark off? You have daily right here, but that's not really salient to where we are now. Looks like you've got another little one right here. Yeah, 1653, 1650, and that's really it. And from here, now it's this is a trade I'm gonna put on. Little salty. Last week, this would have been perfect. It came right down into here, held the upper half, and now it's closed above. Now it's pushed out. So this being a break, like a gap up, breakaway entry, half position size, and I'm gonna throw this on in the Roth and IRA. So coming out here to my monthlies, I'm gonna do these 370s. So the Roth will just have the one. The IRA, I'll add two if we get a legitimate pullback. Okay, so that's that, and then I go in, I do my organization. But without further ado, let's just jump into the plays. Try to get through this as fast as possible. Amazon's just chugging along. I have calls on this position as well. Just made a brand new high yesterday, and then made a new high today. today. Stock is uptrending. I'm going to move my, if anything, what I need to do, I'm going to move this stop. Let's move it up to, I'll move it halfway on the wick for now. I'll find a better spot for it later. Don't necessarily want to do below the swing low, but with this big red candle here, using that as an order block, I really don't want to see it go halfway of the body. But yeah, at least want to move that up just in case I forget about the position. But this is one I might just let run entirely. MU and SanDisk, for example. So for MU, I'm just letting this run. I kind of just I'm just holding the shares just to see how far we can go. It looks like we just hit one standard deviation as far as, oh, that's the other thing. Just round us up. Okay, so since this is just taking off, how do I get new targets? So I'm looking at pullbacks and legs up. So this right here would be, yeah, from here would be this small pullback here. As you can see on the monthly, it's a little bit more, somewhat more pronounced, but that's going to be the monthly. And to clean up the charts, I'll just have that one there. And then from a weekly standpoint, most previous leg up has been from here to here, so we'll just take that from there to that high. And actually what I will do is I will take this. So now I'm going to look for, based off of this leg up, this pullback, and getting a measured move of both, I want to see where they align. So my first target as we continue higher is going to be right here between, let's just call it 287 is my first target, and then longer term target is going to be up here at 318, 319. Simple as that. MU doing the same thing. So had this leg up here, from here to here, had this pullback from here to here. Where do the lines match up? This is no longer relevant. Yeah, we just hit 631.19. I might actually take some profit here on that, but the next real area, and maybe if I think this is pullback. Yeah, that's what I'm going to. I think reference points could change, but from here, you could say right in here you've got some confluence. This was the nicest one right here, 572, 570. It blew right through that. Now it's kind of either side, whichever one you want to use, you can use. If I spread it out some more, what was it? Yeah, the five. This area, yeah. So this area now expands a little bit. Next area of real confluence, I would say, is going to be this 714 space. So 714 is my next target on MU. And it's switching up 20%. All right, SanDisk target UNH. SanDisk, it's just going. This one don't really have. We've already done like a measured move from this pullback. That was 1, 2. Next standard deviation is going to be 434. No, 1434.65. So I'll probably just set I'll take one off at that point. That's what we'll do. What was was that number? All right, so yeah, 1434. And this would just be one of those things where, as long as it goes up, we'll just buy on the pullback, and then watch it run back up again. What did I say for it? I'll take two off at 711 at 715. We'll take off two. And the other nice thing about this is I will, since these are just running on a good pullback because I'm really enjoying the trend and momentum, I will add to the position. All right, now getting into the nitty gritty. Target still uptrending. Looks like we're holding from a weekly standpoint. Still holding the upper portion of last week's. No, was that 3 weeks ago? Right here above this weekly gap. No reason to change. I'll maintain the share and call position. Only thing that I will need to note is what happens. We have earnings coming up May 20th. So honestly, um, hmm. I'm gonna let this run continue to run just because we have 2 weeks, so I'm not too worried about that. UNH, UNH, we're pulling back into this daily BISI. Now, all things considered, because last week, and the reason I maintained this position, we came back, we hit 20% of the previous week's range. Looking at this week, for example, now that we have also formed our gap, if it pulls back to this, even better. I'll probably even add on to my shares. I'll reposition the calls. I would like to see 360.92 hold. If not, then I'll look for it to come back down here, use this gap, and then take off. But until then, I'm just going to hold the position. Right now, UNH position down 34%, not even at my full position size. So I could also average down as well, and 400 calls, that would be what, from 350. So yeah, let it run. Beautiful upside on UNH. I mean, from here to, yeah, that's 400, 606, $200 of wiggle room. All right, Meta, Google, and Netflix. Meta, I'm holding puts. I was in calls, but I feel like this is wanting to pull down a little bit more. Working weekly busy right now. If we get below that, then possibly, looking at this leg here from Fibonacci, maybe it's looking to get down here into this, 566, 585. If it blows through that, then we're just heading lower, and we'll see how it goes. But would like to see it, if it's going to pull back, it can pull back to this daily busy here. And had this one, but I'm not sure this one is going to hold up. So maybe I'll start doing this too. So yeah, this is what looking at. So bearish on this. Google, I just added to the position today that was down 30% from a weekly standpoint, above 20% of the previous week. If it decides to return to here, let's say maybe next week, you can use the gap, and I'll reposition that trade. Netflix inputs, looking for this to continue lower. Right now on a monthly, looking like we're gonna lose that 30 SMA. So especially if we lose that, I would look for this to continue down here to 75. I sold out of my shares earlier today um, because the trend is just not looking good. And to that point, I'd rather find something even lower of a price and buy there. But as of now, this is downtrending. I'd rather not just hold on to shares and hold an L. So, give you an update. Meta is up 14%. Netflix, uh, this is a rolled position into the 85 puts, up 8%, and then Google is now down 13%. All right, TSM, Qualcomm, and on. TSM pullback, it's down 30%, but from a technical standpoint, we're looking at 20 to 30% of this range of the 20 to 30% of the range of the week of April 20th, and on the daily just came back. It was down in this gap, but it's pushed out, so no change there. QCOM got into this one earlier today. We have daily BISI, real strong move out. It's since pulled back, but then when you look at this from you know multiple time frames, from the weekly standpoint, we look at this weekly range from low to high, came down, held 50% of that, pushed back up. From a monthly standpoint, it came down to that 20-30% spot, pushed back up. I'm really liking this for an even larger range as well. And I believe for these, I do have, yeah, I just have June, but I know there was something. Um, Oracle is the one that I put on a little farther out, and I don't believe I have that. All right, I'll touch on Oracle and why I bought 2 months out real quick. So Oracle, from the weekly, how I'm starting to look at things. If it's a daily setup, I'm gonna look at the month. If it's a weekly setup, I'm gonna look at 2 months, just because I want to be able to capture more of the move. Bigger time frame, bigger move. So from the reason I bought 2 months out for this, from a weekly, we hit this gap, which also, when you look at this week, came down to 50%. That held as our support. Could have even bought in here initially at 2030, and then even at the start of this week, could have bought at the 20%, and we're seeing it push higher. Then from the daily, came back into this gap, gapped up twice, well actually three times now, and it's pushed to the upside. So that's Oracle. On this post earnings play, gap down right into this daily BISI, pushed higher. From a weekly standpoint, we've got the weekly gap here, but still, it's still holding the upper half of this run that we had the week of April 20th. As you see, last week came down, 2030. Looks like it wicked. Let's see, top of this 92.44. Yeah. Oh, it does. That's how we set the gap. That, and then this week, you know, open higher, dropped down, hit 20%, and then pushed right from there. So that's that. Calls on all of those. So Micron, Intel, AVGO. Micron has just been on fire today. To give you an idea, rolled these contracts. I was in the 910, rolled to the 980, hit 50%, and now in the 1050s. So $70 jumps, still right under that $600 position size. So that's that. And then from targets, I already spoke about the targets with the shares. I'm just riding the trend to those points. Intel had to pull out from a targeting standpoint, just because Intel has been, I mean, we've just crushed a lot of these smaller runs. When I was looking at it on the weekly, we were already, for the sake of showing, try to get this pullback. We're at like, we're almost at like four deviations. What is this? 110.48 is the high. Yeah, to the tick. Perfection. Um, but given the massive run and not being and only being able to use the pullback for a measured move, what I did was I went to the 12 month, see how it's doing on a yearly, and as you can see, this was a very, very large pullback. So one, two, three, four, five, yeah, 5 years just downward momentum, and now pushing higher. So taking this pullback and then projecting that out for a measured move, target is going to be 120.92, and could even, you want to take this one here. Yeah, they're just overlapping. I mean, yeah, the next real, taking that run and taking this, the next real conversion point where they really overlap, 326, 327. So until then, just kind of, mark halfway, like can do 123 is probably my next, actually a better target, get into these little spaces. So that's Intel, and yeah, just riding the trend on this one. Set a new all-time high today. What's next? AVGO, Apple, and Zscaler. AVGO, we're just, continuing higher. I'm not too sure what this is anchored to. All right, AVGO just continuing to press higher. Earnings June 1st, so we've got time. This one came down, hit this daily gap. It's just grinding higher. So no real change here. I can, let's look at things. Gap there, gap there. Covered. So just from here to here. Does use this gap. I got it initially off of this gap, pressed higher, came back, used this gap halfway, then use the wick, stayed above half of that, pushing higher. That's AVGO. Then we have Apple. Apple typically is the slower of the tech stocks from my personal experience. Um, but that's not to say that it can't, it doesn't move. It just moves, a little bit slower. But all that say, from a monthly standpoint, and this would have been great for, much, much longer term entry, we had the, oh, did I miss? Okay, yeah, there we are. Yeah, none of us speak on AVGO from this standpoint right here. So back to Apple. Yeah, looking at this, pulled back 50% the previous week. This actually would have been a good spot for 2 weeks out, but I'm taking this one month to month. Daily gaps, pulls back, pushes up higher. So just holding that. And then ZS, this is a new ticker for me. Still working to understand how this one plays out. Yeah, rallied, use this gap, pushing higher. Then use this gap. And earnings May 28th. So really looks like between Zscaler will have to reposition, and I'm already using earnings position size. So let me just move this. The earnings group on had earnings. Yeah, no change there. Pan W, Microsoft. So Palo Alto Networks. Been a little slow. Been a little choppy. Last week we hit that 20-30% mark. It even came down to 50%, pushed higher, and now, it's kind of just bumping its head, but it's grinding higher, so nothing to change there. Microsoft, oh, and I haven't looked at this in a while. So Microsoft, this would actually be, from how I'm seeing things, if we pull back a little further, let's just say, because this massive run up. Yeah, so we have 50%. We're below that 20-30% level. This might be one where if we come back to this 50% level, I will reposition these monthly contracts and I'll roll these out to July just to give myself more time. One less thing to worry about. All right. And then last tech stock is going to be CrowdStrike. Just moving along. As you see, yeah, 50%, hit the 20-30% this week, and now it's just, pressing higher. Use this daily gap, pull back. I'm not going to lie, this day, I was a little hesitant on my position. I was like, okay, I think it's going to go lower. I think I got into puts. It pushed right back up, and now off to the races. So that's CrowdStrike. Position the spreads on these contracts not my favorite though, because I feel like I should have if they were tighter bid ask spread would have a much better P&L, but such is life. So Apple's at 50%. Yeah, and we like how this is setting up. So just gonna roll this. 600 is limit size, so can't do 290, so gonna have to do 295s. And how did I set this up? Yeah, so using a 500 limit size here. Oh, this actually works out perfectly. All right, so that's Apple. Didn't even bother to see if it hit 50% over here, but it doesn't matter. All right, struggle plays. USB and Bank of America. So USB, it looks like it's moving sideways. I'm not fully committed to exiting the position, but from the looks of it, getting below this and not maintaining that, I have a feeling that it may want to come down here. I have not. If we were to look at, this was a big week. Yeah, when I look at this, if it's able to hold like this area this week, which is because it's been kind of just consolidating in the upper quadrant of this week in general, which to me denotes that it's still bullish. I would have thought that if it was really just a pump and dump, we would have done it already. But the fact that it's not even revisiting 50%, I like that. Just took out a couple sell side targets here. Maybe it wants this one, but would like to see some continuation to the upside. If not, I will look to see what it does within this gap. And then if it digs through the daily gap, then I'll just look for the weekly. Bank of America got into this position today. I really like what it is doing from weekly perspective. Missed the ideal entry was at 51.85, 51.83. So wicked right down in there, and now it's trying to push its way out. So really, I could have bought 2 months out on this, but I only bought 1 month. But I have calls on this position, and the one that I'm really waiting for is Coin. I'll be honest with you, Coin and J.P. Morgan, two of my favorite financial stocks. Because even like J.P. Morgan, considering a position on this, since it did hit that 20% mark, we will a little above. That's 307. It's about $2 above. No real signal on the daily. And I meant to pick this up yesterday. Yeah. This, we will. I'll hold off on doing this. But the one that I'm really looking for to make its move is going to be Coin. We have earnings Thursday after hours, so I just want to see what it does. It has been, right here in this monthly CIBI. So either Bitcoin is going to get potentially Roth, and maybe it'll pull Coinbase down with it, or Coinbase, from the earnings report just may not produce, the numbers that investors like, and we see this drop. Either way, I'm ready for it. I really enjoy how Coin moves, and especially when you're on the right side, it's a beautiful ticker. So that's that. Possibly into JP later. Procter and Gamble, MO, and Target I already spoke about. So Procter and Gamble currently in puts on this. It came up to this weekly, hit it, stayed in the lower half, pushed down. Today, the entire market's up, so not surprised by this. But would like to see this respect this gap that it's forming here on the daily, and then continue to turn over. So we'll be watching that. And then MO post earnings. This I have to say is probably my favorite consumer staple stock. I don't know what it is about MO, but it moves well, and it's been good to me. So hit 20% mark here, maintaining upper quadrant of the previous week, and even today, slight pullback. I think I'm only in 2 contracts. Yeah. So this is a half position. If I get another pullback, I'll probably add to this one. I spoke on Amazon, Nike, and Tesla. Let's go to these. Nike, nothing really to say here. It's downtrending on every time frame possible. Let's just see how far it goes. Tesla came down. Now this one a little bit different. So on this big weekly, on the 1 week chart, on this big run, definitely hit what they call it, the golden pocket on that, because it broke below 50%. So then so once something does that, I'm looking to see, is it gonna hold open? Like maybe wicks down, gets down here, wicks back up, or what's the next stop? Right here. My ideal entry is always going to be 20-30%. That to me denotes a lot more bullishness. But this it gapped down with earnings, so abandoned that idea, and I was looking more so to see what it was going to do around that 50% level, or fibs. Since then, it's just pushing and grinding higher. We'll continue to follow that. This one, since it is a monthly setup, would be a nice, long. So let's say I would consider, if I'm not looking at, so like June, This is 1 month, daily, weekly, 2 months. I think, this would be a good candidate for August and beyond. That 3 to 7 months. Yeah, I think that would be a beautiful, play. Of course, these are dumb expensive, but you have a lot of time. And it might actually be something that I get into along the way. But I would have to, this would also be a good spot, in my opinion, buying shares, just based off of the monthly. Might also pick up some shares. So yeah, Tesla is either going to be, I might need to add a sleeper share. And let's see, Caterpillar, GE, Boeing. All right, so Caterpillar, I added to this position yesterday, I believe. No, that was just today. Added to the position and just look for this to continue higher. GE, it had dropped down. I got in. Now it's pulling back, but I like how hit the gap, hit Sibby, push back down. So enjoying that. Maybe I missed some 86.73, 86.65. Okay, so yeah, covered the small gap that's between those two candles. So yeah, hit the gap. Look to see this continue lower. Boeing, I think after this I might be done with this ticker. I do not know how to. It's like I'm never on side with this one. It might be one, maybe buy like some shares, let the shares kind of move around and then go from there. But I currently have puts on this as well. It's above both moving averages on the monthly and weekly, but I saw this post earnings and I was thinking, and it busted through here. I was thinking, okay, it probably wants to pull back. Could see it pull back, to this area here, for example. So I feel like from weekly, you gotta get rid of that. If you were to take this whole run, you slap, fibs on it. That's, closer, 50%. But I'm in puts. I'm looking for this to come down. We'll see how it goes. FCX is down. FCX, since this is a slower mover and materials, the sector as a whole, iffy. I bought, since we're in the weekly, this is a weekly setup. This is the, kind of just started this today. But this being a weekly, I bought time on this. So this position, not even going to worry about. I'm looking for 80. And the reason I'm looking for 80, when I look at, this monthly run up to this pullback, 25%, 78.40, but then I want to say, yeah, that was right, 78.40, looking for 80. And on the daily, closing above the previous red candle, still downtrending on the daily. We'll look to see what it does, but on the monthly, as you can see, in this monthly, BISI hit the pound square encroachment, pushing out of it. So similar to Tesla, in a monthly, look for end of the year, and those are the ones I would just let run. Yeah, the other one was Dow. Dow, this stock, I'm gonna be honest with you, also not one of my favorites, but is what it is. I used this. This one I was kind of just curious. Why did I? Oh yeah, I used this. Yeah, this one can't really use the previous week because it didn't have that long, extensive candle. So I might have been looking at something different. But what I'm seeing with this is, we have closed above the high of the low day, the last red day on with this week, we haven't closed yet, but we're looking to close. That to me denotes, possible, run higher. Now, from a monthly standpoint, came down, hit 50%, 20, 30, and now, look for that to push the upside. This one, honestly, let's let's see something with Dow. So yeah, like I said, king off of the monthly, and Dow has, you know, all-time highs up here. With this, with the surge, down 50, 20, 30. This is another one. I'm going to do like FCX. I'm going to sell out of these. So we'll take, and plus, weekly goal for this account, the weekly goal is 300. I really need to change that because I want to say today alone made like 3K, but I aim for, 2 to 300 per trade. This is 33% of that. So what we're going to do, because Dow is that's lucky sometimes. So what I'm going to do, just about, alright, we're going to do 3 of these. And the reason 55 right here at this liquidity um, pool, so good target in my opinion. Oh, it's gone up to 225. Well, because I want 3, we'll just go to the 60s, and then I can do 2 of these. That's one thing I try to demand, that I get the price that I want. And so it's just under 3, 450. Skirting the lines of this one. 626. Long term, put a little extra on that one. So that's down. And now, wrapping up. So energy, might have put a little too much emphasis on this. I need to whittle this down. VLO, PSX. Um, VLO is just continuing higher. So look for that to continue upwards. PSX, same thing. Continuing higher. Would have liked to have taken, something, but, had earnings, and this could have gone completely different. MPC and FANG. MPC, you know, gap up, pushing higher. FANG. This one, we just had earnings yesterday evening, so this is post earnings play. Suspecting this gap for now, and we'll continue to watch that one. What was the first one I said? VLO. VLO, even if you look at VLO on a monthly, yeah, that's just nice movement. Let's see, the last two, APA and Baker. APA, this is another new one that I'm tinkering with. What's my levels? Or maybe I haven't even done levels on this. But if I just had to, eyeballing it, massive up candle. Came back, looks like, yeah, went beyond 50%, but that 50% support by the end of the month held up. Let's see, what else can we see on this? I mean, that's a beauty right there. Just perfect. Hit the gap, rallied out of the gap, and now continuing to push higher. So really, this is one I might need to roll out further, just because a lot of upside on this one. So possibly, given that the weekly is here, I may post earnings on tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. You know, I was just saying I need to close out a position. Let's just close these. I didn't realize there were earnings right there. Just close out of that. So APA has some long-term calls, and then finally we have Baker Hughes. Yeah, looks like pull back. Would like to see it hold this weekly gap. As you can see, we made all-time highs, and now it's pulling back to that 20% level or close to it. If it touches that, and bounces, I have no worries in my position, only down 18%. So that's that. The three things, I would possibly add are just, Tesla from a monthly standpoint looks really good. SCX and Dow, good monthly setups for some long-term plays. And then APA would like to see what happens post earnings. As you see here, I have all my other earnings plays. MSCR, this has earnings aftermarket today, so that's another good one I'll watch. Sitting about basically eating away at all the profit that I gained this morning when I rolled this contract. So $20 off of potential earnings run up. Also 3 days expiration, so time decay is crushing me. So I'm just gonna close this one out and see what earnings have. But so that's everything. I hope you all were able to find this insightful, able to learn something from it. And let's close this one here. Hope this was insightful. You're able to learn something. Maybe you can add something to your own toolkit. And I'll catch you all on the next one. Oh, one last one. Let's look at what's AMD doing. Yeah, AMD. Nice little, what do they call it, hammer candle earnings tonight. So that's another one. I will be looking to enter an AMD position tomorrow. But until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Once again, this is for entertainment only. This is not uh, financial advice. I hope you're able to find something insightful from this, something you can add to your toolkit, and I'll speak to you all again soon.